The story starts off with our protagonist, Zeke, chasing a man from a bear. After knocking out the beast, he examines its body and finds out that one of its ribs is broken. With no time wasted, Zeke makes an incision and pulls out the broken rib, and saving the bear's life. Moreover, he finds out that the guy had stolen its eggs, which prompted the bear to chase him, even though it was wounded. Surprised by how skilled Zeke is, the guy wonders if he uses healing magic, but gets told by Zeke that he's just an ordinary beast doctor. Later that day, Zeke treats a sick cow and receives praise from the farm owner. However, after examining the surroundings, Zeke complains about the ventilation not being great and the feed being clearly designed to fatten the cows up. The farmer mentions that he has no choice as he was ordered to do so. Just then, Zeke receives a call from the Prime Minister, who yells at him for lazing around. But when Zeke argues by saying that he was doing a routine checkup, the Prime Minister says that it's not worth it when the livestock are just going to get eaten anyway. After the call ends, the farmer complains about the decline in the livestock industry ever since the new king took over and advises that leaving for somewhere better would be better for a doctor like him. In reply, Zeke lets him know that he does this because he loves to and doesn't know much about the outside world anyway. The story follows our protagonist Zeke, a beast doctor who has devoted his life to caring for every animal in the kingdom. One day, after treating a farmer's cow, Zeke heads home, riding his pet dragon named Chi. Unexpectedly, she starts running the opposite way and takes him to a dog that's lying on the ground, injured. After thanking Chi for the help, Zeke extracts some of that dog's blood and, after appraising it, finds out that an ogre's claw caused the injury. Nonetheless, he gives the dog some medicine and wonders why such a well-groomed animal is present in the wild. Before long, the ogres that injured the dog turn up and try to attack Zeke. He flawlessly dodges the strike and kicks the ogre down. Furthermore, Zeke paralyzes all the other ogres and puts them to sleep. The dog, who witnessed this all, gets flustered and disappears in the blink of an eye. At a later point that day, Zeke is told by the king that he's fired. Apparently, it is because Zeke is spending an unnecessary amount of expenses, which is something the Prime Minister agrees with, saying that there's no need to waste resources on livestock that are just bred to be eaten. Zeke argues, saying that without experts, livestock productivity could plummet and disease could wipe out everything. Hearing this, the Prime Minister ends up laughing and informs Zeke about the magic tool that lets one control livestock and monsters. Frustrated, Zeke confronts the Prime Minister for treating animals like objects with such tools, but the king decides not to entertain him any further and simply exiles him. With nowhere else to go, Zeke sits by the ocean thinking he did the right thing, as animals aren't to be treated as objects. In order to cheer him up, his dragon, Chi, pushes Zeke in the water, where he witnesses a light glowing behind him. Curious, he looks back and witnesses a girl levitating in the air. That girl then lands on the water and comes up to Zeke, telling him that she's here to repay her debt. He takes her to his house, where the girl introduces herself as Tefania, informing Zeke that she's the puppy he saved earlier. But when Zeke starts doubting her claim, Tefania jumps in the air and transforms into that same puppy. Surprised, Zeke mentions that it's his first time hearing of a beast that can turn into a baddie, which prompts Tefania to tell Zeke about divine beasts. Apparently, they are a beast akin to a god, and she is the daughter of the king who rules over them. Moreover, she has decided to recruit him to her kingdom, named Naroguma, as their country needs someone compassionate like him. Since Zeke just got exiled, he agrees and raises his fist in excitement. Tefania touches his fist at the same time, which causes his whole body to glow. Simultaneously, an unfamiliar voice mentions that the contract is sealed, which will result in Zeke obtaining even greater powers. Nevertheless, they ignore it for the time being and decide to head out at dawn. Without wasting any time, Tefania takes over his bed and invites him to sleep with her, but the mind of a certified virgin refuses to comply, and he ends up sleeping with Chi the following day. That farmer gets a bit disappointed hearing about Zeke's departure and curses the big shots. However, he's glad that Zeke has a bombshell by his side to make the ride enjoyable. With that being said, their journey to Naroguma begins, and judging by the distance, Zeke figures that it could take them about 5 days. Tefania suggests making it a fun journey and rests her head on Zeke's back, causing Chi to get mad at her. Just then, Zeke notices someone sitting in the middle of the road, and after taking a closer look, Tefania realizes that it's an injured harpy and advises Zeke to avoid it since they are violent beasts. However, Zeke refuses to listen, and instead, he decides to go and check out her injuries. When he tries getting closer, the harpy flies in the air and tries stabbing Zeke with her claws, only for Zeke to easily dodge the strike and put the harpy to sleep. Once she's out cold, Zeke treats her wounds and informs Tefania that it's his duty as a doctor. Furthermore, he believes that the beasts are not at fault because they are just violent due to the Demon King's curse. Upon hearing that, Tefania begins praising him, saying that even a beast would fall in love with him. But as he is busy explaining how beasts are not easy creatures to tame, Zeke feels some giant stress balls pressing against his head. It turns out to be that harpy who has now completely fallen for him. Nevertheless, the journey continues, and Tefania is amazed by how easily he lifted the beast's curse, wondering if this was the contract's doing as well. Moreover, he begins hearing the harpy talking, thanks to his evolved powers, thanks to the contract. As time passes, the harpy continues clinging to Zeke, and seeing her, Tefania starts doing the same. Eventually, she loses her mind and jumps in anger, calling Zeke an idiot. She then mocks him for being all over the girls when she's still there, making him realize that he can now hear Chi talk as well. But before Zeke could clear the misunderstanding, the girls began burying Zeke under their honkers. Just as Chi was about to lose her temper again, Zeke managed to praise her just in time, calming her anger. After that, Tefania notices that they're already at Naroguma, and the journey that was supposed to take about 5 days was completed in just a few hours thanks to Chi's thick legs. Without wasting any time, Tefania enters the town and gets greeted by all the townsfolk. But when she introduces the human doctor she has brought along, no one gives much of a response. Witnessing this, Tefania tells Zeke that they are not used to humans yet, which reminds Zeke that it was humans who forced the beast folk to flee to the deep forest. Nonetheless, a guard appears to show them the way when, unexpectedly, a little girl turns up, attempting to sell them some apples. Just when Tefania starts following the girl to her shop, a rogue horse tied to a wagon appears before them, about to hurt the girls. In the nick of time, Zeke manages to save Tefania while Chi takes care of the little girl, and simultaneously, he puts the horse to sleep. Witnessing this situation, the guard confronts the wagon owner and puts him under arrest for trying to run over Princess Tefania. Meanwhile, Zeke examines the horse's overgrown hooves and tells the wagon owner about how dangerous it is for the horse. After that, Zeke applies some medicine and tells the guard to cut that guy some slack, as it wasn't intentional. Before long, everyone gathers around them, complimenting Zeke for his actions, including the wagon owner, who gives Zeke his thanks for saving his horse. Tefania is also glad to see everyone accepting Zeke and suggests getting closer to others just like that. However, Chi, who had been controlling her anger, finally explodes. Following that, she takes Zeke to her castle-like house and instructs the maids to treat Zeke with utmost care. Moreover, she gives him a guest room to stay in, and after settling in, Zeke wonders if he could meet the standards of other nobles, as the only thing he's good at is medicine. Hearing this, Chi tries to make him feel better, which makes Zeke glad that the two of them can finally talk to each other. Just then, they both hear someone's cry for help, and after using his detection skill, Zeke manages to find the culprit. He instantly dashes to the other room, where he finds two kidnappers trying to kidnap a woman. The kidnappers question how Zeke is onto them when they're using stealth skill, and Zeke claims that he was able to spot them with no difficulty. They figure that Zeke must be using a ranger skill, and after seeing the beast by his side, they realize that Zeke's the guest that Tefania brought along. Nevertheless, he tells the kidnappers that there are better ways of asking a girl out instead of kidnapping her, and when one of them tries to attack Zeke, he jumps to dodge the strike and uses paralysis on him, leaving that guy immobilized. After that, he tells the other kidnapper to let the girl go, but as expected, he refuses to comply and tries jumping from the window. This prompts Zeke to launch an attack, which hits the kidnapper's hand. At the same time, she pushes him out, causing him to lose hold of that girl. Using this chance, Zeke grabs the girl and lets the kidnapper fall onto the ground. Once they have him cornered, Zeke decides to reveal his face, but before he gets the chance, the kidnapper uses a teleportation skill and escapes. Knowing that the teleportation skill is an advanced skill only a few can use, he begins to wonder who that was. Nevertheless, he unties that girl, and after thanking him for the help, she introduces herself as the queen of the country. The following morning, he is presented before Queen Sophia once again and apologizes for the incident that occurred the night before. Firstly, Sophia asks him not to be so formal and informs Zeke that she wants him to serve as their nation's chief court physician. Realizing that the chief physician is the head of the medical department, Zeke questions whether it's okay for someone who just arrived in the country to be given such a position. Suddenly, their conversation gets interrupted when a noble, Zoroa, appears. While he makes his way to the queen, Tefania informs Zeke that Zoroa is the top doctor and the person who is the current court physician. To start things off, Zoroa argues with Sophia for wanting to assign an outsider to such an important role. Sophia believes that his argument is solid and asks Zoroa to support Zeke as his assistant. However, Zoroa straight up refuses, saying that he'd rather be Didi's assistant. Meanwhile, Zeke, who has been keeping an eye on Zoroa, asks him to show his right hand to him. As predicted, Zoroa refuses to comply, and Zeke mentions that his stiff movement proves the fact that he is hurt. While hiding his hand, Zoroa says that a chief physician like him can easily handle a minor cut like that. Upon hearing that, Zeke informs everyone that he had left a similar wound on the thug last night, which makes the guard ask what he's talking about. Sophia also adds that she kept the incident hidden to avoid any problem, and finally reveals the fact that she was saved by Zeke from getting kidnapped. Zoroa, who is not cornered, says that a matching wound doesn't prove anything. But when Zeke decides to run an appraisal on Zoroa's blood to match it with the residue left on his weapon, Zoroa panics and tries attacking Sophia to complete his unfinished task. Luckily, Zeke manages to stop him by using the paralysis skill and electrocutes him till the poor fellow smells like burning rubber. Tefania is shocked to witness such a cool trick and begins clinging onto him, making Zeke a bit uncomfortable. After that, he's taken to a room where all the doctors and physicians are gathered and is told that he's going to be the one leading the operations. He then kicks things off with an introduction and promises the doctors that he will try his very best to fit in with everyone. Knowing that the speech was a bit sloppy, Zeke gets a bit disappointed until he hears the doctors clapping for him, saying that they were waiting for someone like him. Afterward, the Queen's secretary tells Zeke that everyone knows about his heroic act of saving the Queen, and since the last chief was not someone remarkable, everyone will be supporting him with all their might. Now filled with confidence, Zeke's about to set the first task when, unexpectedly, a doctor comes running, telling everyone to look outside as a horde of beasts is heading their way. Surprisingly, they turn out to be dragons who heard about Zeke getting fired and chased after him. Zeke then tells the secretary that he used to take care of them back in his home country and asks her to let them stay since they are excellent sources of sky travel. Meanwhile, back at the home country, the budget-sized king is feeling proud of his new crown and plans on showing it off at the upcoming meeting. But just when it's time to leave, he finds out that all the dragons are missing. Having no other choice, he decides to ride the horse, only to get kicked in the face by one of them, as the horses have also refused to work without Zeke. Now that they are left with no other option, the king is forced to rent a private carriage. After a rough ride, he finally makes it to the meeting, looking like a mess. However, all the members present start ridiculing him for being late for such an important meeting. Elsewhere, Zeke is shown the house he will be living in from now on. Moreover, Zeke tells Chi that he contacted his sister, Mint, saying that no matter how much she hates him, she should be filled in on the current situation. While he decides to start cleaning the house, his sister gets the letter and promises to be there for him soon. On the other hand, the king crushes his crown in frustration and blames Zeke for the humiliation he suffered. After that, he begins yelling at the prime minister for his worthless suggestion when a guard enters the room, informing the king that Mint is waiting to meet him. Confused, he wonders who she is and gets told by the prime minister that she's the genius hired as a court mage. He continues to praise her by calling Mint a once-in-a-century talent. This just ends up boosting the king's ego, who is sure that the other nations will be forced to take him seriously. Eventually, she enters the room and receives compliments from the king for wanting to meet him. However, she replies by telling them to forget about her becoming a court mage and starts walking away. Puzzled, the prime minister tries to stop Mint by grabbing her shoulder, making her furious enough to freeze his hand. After that, Mint tells them that the only person allowed to touch her is her brother, adding the fact that he's the same person whom the king exiled. This makes the king realize that she's Zeke's sister and asks her to stay for the sake of their nation's prestige. But Mint couldn't care less about any of that and leaves. With that being said, Mint makes her way towards Naroguma and comes across a barrier, stopping her from entering the country. Having no other choice, she lands near the main gate and tells the guards to let her through. Before they could even react to her words, Mint prepared to launch a magic spell at them, but luckily, she was stopped by Zeke just in time. Excited, Mint tells Zeke that she missed him, and when he inquires about the Magic Academy, Mint mentions that she has already graduated and just quit being a court mage. Shocked, Zeke questions why she did such a thing, to which Mint replies, saying that being by her brother's side is all she needs. This comes as a surprise to Zeke, as all he remembers is Mint treating him like a pile of wet garbage. But according to her, it was just an act to cover up her shyness. Nevertheless, Mint then apologizes for not clearing it up sooner and comments on the fact that being separated from him made her realize that this misunderstanding could go on forever. With that in mind, Mint finally comes clean and mentions how much she loves him. But their moment gets interrupted by Chi, who starts to argue about her being in love with Zeke first. Anyway, he informs the gatekeepers about Mint's identity and asks her to come along, only to be told that she will be staying in the country from now on. Luckily, Sophia agrees to let her stay, but Zeke, on the other hand, can't understand why she came all the way to his place. Mint replies by telling him that there's nothing strange about siblings living under the same roof. But just when he tries arguing with her, Mint begins clinging to him, making him realize that he still needs to look after her. Suddenly, the room turns dark, and a bunch of shadow-like creatures appear out of nowhere. Mint realizes that they are shadow puppets who are invulnerable to physical attacks, helping Zeke understand that defeating the caster is the way to go. To start things off, Zeke restricts the shadow's movement, prompting the caster to question his technique as the shadows are supposed to be immune to physical or magical effects. Zeke tells him that all he did was stitch them up, but the caster remains unbothered, as he can just summon as many shadows as he wants. But to his shock, Zeke easily finds the caster hiding in one of the shadows, letting the caster know that he can hide his body but not his heartbeat. After tying him up, Mint decides to make him confess and uses the brainwashing spell to make him her obedient servant. Now that he's under her control, the caster confesses to being ordered to assassinate Zeke by the king. This comes as a surprise to Zeke, who starts to wonder if he did something wrong. But Mint, on the other hand, gets enraged and doesn't waste any time going after them. Meanwhile, at the castle, the king stresses over Mint leading the nation and gets told by the prime minister that they must make some compromises to bring her back. However, their conversation gets interrupted when Mint appears behind them, saying that the assassin has been dealt with. Now that they're exposed, the midget king and his chopped prime minister start making excuses. Mint couldn't care less and decides to punish them severely for what they did to her brother. That said, Mint uses a spell named Absolute Zero and freezes the entire castle at one go. But she leaves the two of them out of it and threatens to crush them if they try anything similar again. After returning to Naroguma, she starts looking for Zeke and finds him soaking his dong in an outdoor bath he made himself. Mint takes a look at the water and finds it being infused with divine energy. Simultaneously, Tefania jumps into the bath and sits next to him with her goodies out, saying that there's nothing wrong with her taking a bath with Zeke. This prompts Mint to join the bath as well, and she makes sure to thank Tefania for taking care of her brother, emphasizing that he is her brother. At the same time, she and Sophia also arrive, and so do the dragons, the secretary, and the harpy from before. They all end up entering the bath and seeing beastman, human, and magical beasts enjoying the same bath makes Tefania glad. However, Mint believes that it's impossible to happen elsewhere because of the Demon King. The only reason these creatures are hiding their aggression is thanks to Zeke's power, but Zeke, on the other hand, believes that he might be able to understand the Demon King by bathing with her like this. It has now been a few weeks, and the mages are still busy trying to melt the ice that is covering the castle. The Prime Minister is also stressed over the damage done by Mint and tries consulting the king regarding the repair budget, but gets shut down by him. Apparently, he has already begun planning to teach Zeke a lesson and orders the Prime Minister to complete the repairs and prepares several revenge plans against him. Elsewhere, Zeke is busy treating one of the beast child, and after he's done, Zeke decides to head home. Tefania also joins him, and on their way back, she starts smelling blood. After following that scent, they come across a severely injured dragon lying on the ground. Tefania wonders if it's dead, but just then, Zeke hears the dragon's voice, which questions if he's with the elf. Zeke replies by introducing himself and reassuring him that he doesn't know any elves. Realizing that Zeke can hear its voice, the dragon gets shocked, but Zeke suggests putting that topic aside and decides to take a look at the wounds. When the dragon asks the reason he wants to help, Zeke simply says that a doctor doesn't need a reason to treat his patients. Upon hearing this, the dragon accepts his help, and Zeke asks Tefania to get some water for him. Out of nowhere, an elf appears and tells Zeke that the dragon is his prey. But he completely ignores him and continues asking Tefania to grab some herbs as well. But when the elf keeps bothering him, he tells him to leave as he's in the way. The elf takes this insult to heart and decides to blow Zeke away using his bow and arrow. Seeing this, the dragon tells Zeke to run, adding that even its tough scales couldn't block these arrows earlier. But to everyone's surprise, Zeke grabs the arrow mid-flight like it's no big deal, shocking both the dragon and the elf. Refusing to give up, the elf then fires multiple arrows at him, and just like before, Zeke easily deals with all of them at once and tells the elf to pipe down. Since both his tactics failed, the elf is left with no choice but to leave using a teleportation spell, which makes Zeke wonder if someone is smuggling these rare magic items to amateurs like that elf. After that, the dragon praises Zeke for overwhelming the elf, to which he replies by saying that the elf wasn't that tough and advises the dragon to rest. When Tefania asks about the situation, he tells her everything is okay, but internally, Zeke's a bit worried about the dragon's natural recovery not doing its job. Moreover, the healing process is extremely slow, which makes him figure that the elf could have cursed the arrows. Ultimately, the dragon speaks up, asking why Zeke isn't using his full powers. Confused, Zeke mentions that he always gives his all for his patients, prompting the dragon to question why he is not using that vast holy energy. When Zeke says that he doesn't have anything like that, the dragon reassures him that there's an incredible power in him and asks if he can't use healing magic. Zeke replies by saying that it's not as easy because while his skills just assist the patient's natural recovery, healing magic reverses the wound, restoring it to the original state. However, the dragon continues telling Zeke that he can use healing magic, adding that it can sense the inner colors of his body. Ultimately, Zeke decides to put his trust in the dragon and tries using healing magic for the first time. Suddenly, a bright light envelopes the area, and the dragon returns to its original condition, with all the injuries fully healed. Simultaneously, Tefania freezes in place, and a voice coming from within her presents Zeke with the title of Dragon Healer and the Hand of God. After that, she returns to being normal and praises Zeke for his efforts. The dragon also makes sure to thank Zeke, and in the midst of the conversation, Zeke loses consciousness. The following morning, he wakes up in his bed and finds his hand perfectly positioned on one of the milk cannons. That girl then wakes up and starts licking his face, telling Zeke how worried she was when he collapsed. While that's happening, Mint enters the room and loses her cool after seeing her brother with another girl. In an attempt to calm her down, Zeke swears that he doesn't know the horn girl. But after taking a closer look at her horns, he asks if it's Chi, to which Chi agrees, asking if he forgot her face. But when he puts a mirror in front of her, Chi also freaks out. Luckily, Sophia appears just in time and explains that Chi took a human form because of Zeke's evolved powers. Apparently, when monsters absorb a large amount of magic, evolution can occur, and Chi's evolution occurred due to Zeke's magic. This makes Zeke question the reason he has such magic, and Sophia mentions that it's thanks to his contract with Tefania. He gained divine energy through the contract and further revolutionized it after meeting that dragon yesterday. Mint also adds by saying that Zeke has now become the strongest healing magic user that exists, and upon hearing that, he promises to use this power to its fullest. Following that, she starts giggling and tells everyone that since it's Zeke's power that gave her this form, it must mean that her body is Zeke's type. However, this doesn't sit right with Mint, who argues by saying that a graceful body like hers is more to his liking. While the two of them argue, Zeke asks Sophia about the voice coming from Tefania and gets informed that it's called a divine revelation. Since divine beasts are connected with the heavens, divine will manifest through Tefania. Realizing that all this stuff about God and heaven is true, Zeke gets overwhelmed. Sophia advises him to just keep walking his path and promises to stay by his side. After that, she traps his arm in her mountain valley, asking if she's a bother. But just as things started heating up, Tefania barges into the room, forcing them to get away from each other. Elsewhere, the elf from before tells his men to gather up, as they will be invading the Beastmen's country. When one of the elves tries to tell him that the Beastmen aren't to blame, he sets him on fire while promising to wipe out the beasts who humiliated him. Without wasting any time, the group of elves arrives at the front gate of Naroguma and are greeted by the gatekeeper, who believes that they are here for tourism. However, the elf slashes his head clean and mocks the Beastman for being so careless. But to his shock, that Beastman stands back up as if nothing happened. After that, another elf tries striking him down when, unexpectedly, several light rays emerge from the gatekeeper's body, striking that elf and putting an end to him for good. The elf leader, Elquaz, freaks out seeing this and gets informed by his goons that the light surrounding the village is blocking their entry. Elquaz figures that it must be Zeke's doing and praises him for fortifying the village ahead of their arrival. Nevertheless, he refuses to back down and summons a demon named Baphomet to deal with the barrier. But before that demon could even raise a finger, that same ray of light cuts it in half. At this point, Elquaz figures that this is beyond his skill level and decides to flee for his own good. While running away, Elquaz bumps into another barrier and lands right in front of the dragon he hunted earlier. As expected of Elquaz, he starts mocking the dragon, asking if he came for a rematch after being shown pity by Zeke. But before Elquis could even raise his bow, his arms got chopped off by the dragon. He still refuses to back down and decides to use healing magic to restore his arms, but no matter how hard he tries, the healing magic refuses to activate. Witnessing this, the dragon comments on how healing manifests through the power of the gods, and since Elquis fought against Zeke, an apostle of God, it's no wonder his divine powers are gone. Still acting high and mighty, Elquis starts mocking the dragon, but gets silent after seeing 4 humongous dragons standing before the little one. At this point, he is left with no choice but to beg for forgiveness, but that doesn't work as Elquis gets turned into ash just moments later. Meanwhile, Zeke learns the news of the mysterious events involving the elves and gets scolded by Tefania for working when he's supposed to be on break. Apparently, Zeke was forced to take paid leave by his secretary for working too much, which makes Chi glad, as he now has someone to keep him in check. Suddenly, Tefania gets an idea and suggests going adventuring in a dungeon that was recently discovered. A dungeon's sole purpose is to devour humanity, and for that, it spawns monsters, traps, and malicious magic. To keep this danger from evolving further, adventurers are dispatched to deal with the dungeon, and similarly, a party of adventurers is currently dealing with the monsters inside this dungeon as well. However, they are not in the best shape, as the foil aura inside the dungeon is stopping them from giving their all. One of the party members suggests retreating, but the leader refuses, saying that defying the king's orders will be harmful for their party. Before long, they all get surrounded by monsters again, leaving them no choice but to fight. Meanwhile, the 3 of them finally enter the dungeon and are excited since this is something new to them. Seeing bones scattered around, she asks if it's safe and gets told that it's no big deal. Soon after, Tefania notices a monster standing nearby, and without any hesitation, it crushes Tefania with that giant hammer of his. Chi freaks out witnessing this, but surprisingly, Tefania comes out unscathed and notices that the beast is bleeding. Zeke instantly goes to check up on him and uses the healing magic to treat the wound. Once the beast is fully healed, he thanks Zeke for waking him up and asks for his help to wake the others who are trapped by the same curse. Elsewhere, the party of adventurers is getting completely folded by the beasts, and their tank is knocking at death's door. Knowing that they just need to escape this particular area, the leader orders everyone to unleash everything they have at her signal. Moreover, she plans to let the others escape while she continues the mission since getting them into this mess was her fault to begin with. However, one of the party members begins teasing her for having half-cooked strategies and decides to stick by her side, to which the others agree. Just then, a nearby wall explodes, and Zeke, along with the others, makes an appearance. Just by a glance, he realizes that things are pretty messed up, and without wasting any more time, he uses healing magic on everyone present nearby. Every party member who was injured, along with the monsters who were slain, gets completely healed. Furthermore, the monster starts kneeling before Zeke, saying that their rightful master has arrived. Some time has passed since that day, and currently, that adventurer, Lisbeth, has officially become a resident of Naroguma. Turns out she is from the same country as Zeke and is fully aware of how corrupt and insane that Midget King is. Lisbeth's party was controlled by the king as well, so they had their fair share of struggles. Just then, the beast Zeke healed at the dungeon comes to serve them food, which makes him glad, as all the beasts they saved that day have been hired by Sophia. Lisbeth then praises Zeke for making an environment where all the races can live peacefully, and with that, she decides to leave. Just then, Zeke notices the scar on her face and suggests healing it next time, but she refuses, saying that it's like a badge of honor for her. Curious, Zeke then asks the story behind it, and Lisbeth promises to inform him once they get closer. Meanwhile, the dragon Zeke saved informs his queen, Ohea, that Zeke might be able to treat her as well, and upon hearing that, she wastes no time and goes searching for him. Sometime later, the king is informed about the S-rank party leading their kingdom, and they don't seem to have any other information other than the resignation letters they found. Knowing that the news of an S-rank party leading can ruin the reputation of the kingdom, the king asks for a replacement. In reply, the guild master comments on how all the requests lately are about dealing with runaway beasts and rogue livestock, making him question the king about the beast management. Remembering that Zeke was responsible for managing the beasts, the king starts getting frustrated, leaving the guild master no choice but to kick them out of the guild. Just then, they witness the dragon, Ohea, flying right above them. Without showing any hostility, Ohea introduces herself and asks for a man named Zeke, only to realize that the humans can't understand her. In the meantime, the king begins telling everyone to attack the dragon, and while they are busy arguing with themselves, a party of adventurers arrives. The guild master recognizes them as the mercenary group that has taken down an ancient dragon in the past, and when the prime minister tries warning the king about these thugs disrupting the town's peace, he dismisses him and asks the adventurers to defeat the dragon. But to his shock, their leader, Ramoth, tells the king to bow down, saying that it's only natural when asking someone for a favor. When the king refuses, the group decides to leave, and knowing that they don't have anyone else to deal with this mess, the king can't help but bow down. Witnessing this, Ramoth and his party couldn't control their laughter and mocked the king for being a ridiculous clown. Nonetheless, Ramoth holds his end of the bargain and attacks Ohea, striking her right in the face. Even though Ohea makes sure not to attack back, Ramoth and his goons continue to strike her until, eventually, a barrier appears around her. Simultaneously, Zeke makes an appearance and tells them to stop. Ramoth confronts him for siding with the beasts, and when Zeke says that he can't leave the injured behind, Ramoth attacks him using his weapon, only for Zeke to break it with a single touch. Furthermore, Zeke notices that Ohea's condition is quite dire, which prompts him to speed up the process by paralyzing all of Ramoth's goons at the same time. Before long, Mitt also arrives and gets told by Zeke to teleport Ohea out of there. That pathetic king, who has now witnessed Zeke's power, invites him back to the kingdom but gets ignored as Zeke teleports along with everyone else. Back at Naroguma, he finds out that there's an egg stuck inside Ohea, causing birth complications. At the same time, the Divine Dragon King turns up and introduces himself as Elren. Moreover, he informs them that Ohea is his 7th wife, but even he wasn't aware that she was expecting a child. Apparently, she was trying to hide it in order not cause any succession drama. Upon hearing this, Elren reassures her that the other queens are not that petty and suggests celebrating the birth of their child. Their intimate moment is interrupted by Zeke, who mentions that the situation is quite dire and suggests doing a C-section since it's the best choice for the sake of both mother and child. After receiving the permission from Elren, he finally begins the procedure, and everyone from Naroguma makes sure to assist him. Ultimately, he manages to take out the egg from her body, and just a few moments later, it starts to hatch. Everyone freaks out, telling Zeke to keep holding it, and after learning that dragons don't have any imprinting behavior, he complies. Soon after, a little dragon emerges from the egg and kisses Zeke's face. Witnessing this, all the chicks down bad for the dog start to freak out and begin wanting to kiss him as well. Elren also praises Zeke, saying that it wouldn't have been possible without his exceptional medical skills and magic power. With that being said, Elren decides to take his leave since he has someone else to thank as well and pays a visit to the king. After introducing himself, he presses them for trying to hurt and injure her queen, asking if they know the culprit. They both shamelessly put all the blame on the mercenary group, which prompts Elren to bring Ramoth right in front of them. Ramoth confesses, saying that he was ordered to do it by the king, causing Elren to lose his temper. With that, he destroys half of the castle and threatens to leave no trace of them if something similar were to happen again. After Elren leaves, a boy shows up, asking if he missed something interesting. The king instantly recognizes him and welcomes him back, calling him the hero named Makine. It has now been a few days, and that little dragon has started living with Zeke. However, she is not very happy about this change and asks the reason this dragon is at their house. Zeke explains that Elren told him to take care of the little dragon, as they have a custom of leaving their parents shortly after birth. But she still refuses to accept it, saying that before the newbie dragon, she was the only one who lived with Zeke. This prompts the dragon to tell Chi that her name is Sora, the name Zeke gave her. Puzzled, Chi asks why he is naming someone else's child, to which Min agrees, saying that dragons value family bond above all, which is why it's a bit surprising. Their conversation gets interrupted when Zeke finds himself in a pitch-black space, followed by the appearance of a goth mommy who introduces herself as Elena. She asks Zeke what he's doing, to which he replies by telling her that he just helps those in need. Elena further questions how he has managed to make different species that don't mix trust each other, and gets told by Zeke that all he does is help people, and this is exactly what made this unimaginable dream a reality. Lastly, Elena wonders if he views the other races differently, and Zeke mentions that to him, people and beasts are the same. With that, he returns to his living room and apologizes to Chi and Mint for getting distracted. Suddenly, one of the dragons comes flying, telling Zeke to come with him at once. Elsewhere at the main gate, the hero Makine shows up, which makes the gatekeepers wonder why someone like him is here. Nevertheless, one of Makine's men orders the gatekeepers to open the gates, but gets kicked in the face by Makine in return. He blames his men for not planning things in advance and decides to just let himself in. When one of the gatekeepers tries arguing, Makine makes a giant hole in the door. Shockingly, the gatekeepers still decide not to give in, which annoys Makine to the point that he activates his magic spell. Those gatekeepers are left in awe after witnessing the insane amount of magic and are told by Makine that he can save a lot of time by just blasting off both them and the town behind. As the magic power continues to increase, so do the threats Makine throws at them until that magic ball disappears out of existence. Simultaneously, Zeke shows up, makes a low-budget superhero landing, and asks if Makine has business with him. At first, Makine is surprised to see his magic disappear and lets Zeke know that he was sent by the king to bring him back. But to his shock, Zeke straight up tells Makine to go home, saying that he has nothing to do with that old kingdom anymore. In reply, Makine mentions that he doesn't care about Zeke's opinion, and as he came to bring him back, Zeke has no choice but to comply. Moreover, he flexes his ominous amount of power while telling Zeke that he is already annoyed over being sent on this errand. Witnessing this, one of his men warns Makine that the king needs Zeke alive, to which he agrees, saying that he'll just gouge an eye out. He then summons the holy sword and jumps at Zeke, but just in time, Zeke uses the paralysis skill, which overwhelms Makine and sends him crashing into a nearby wall. Realizing that paralysis is just a basic skill, Makine figures that Zeke must have used it as a camouflage to activate a more powerful spell. He admits that Zeke is powerful and makes sure to remind him that he's a hero blessed by the goddess. Magic that common people use can be completely rejected by him, and as soon as his special barrier is up, no magic will work on him. While he gathers magic energy to obliterate everyone nearby, Zeke covers his arm with ice magic and, in an instant, cuts Makine down. This leaves him in disbelief, wondering how that ice magic worked when the barrier was up, to which Zeke replies, telling him that it's frost alchemy, a divine skill which seems to be superior to his goddess. Once the hero has been defeated, Zeke tells the hero's subordinates to take him back and then informs Sophia about everything that took place. This leaves her in a tough spot, as Sophia is now sure that Zeke's old kingdom might raise a fuss about what happened. When Zeke tries apologizing, the gatekeepers ask to take all the blame, saying that they are the ones who couldn't fulfill their roles. Hearing this, Sophia reassures them that no one will be punished, but she is still a bit worried about the rumors spreading about them kidnapping Zeke, as it could result in a war involving human nations. When Zeke mentions that he came to Naroguma of his own will, Sophia says that they can't prove it. Eventually, one of the nobles suggests granting Zeke a title, as it will show that Zeke's not just a pawn but a vital citizen. She seems to like this idea, but Zeke, on the other hand, starts freaking out, telling them that becoming a noble is too much of an honor. Later that night, Zeke finally ended up with a title and was surprised by how no one was against this idea. Mint mentions that it's because everyone looks up to him and teases Zeke about how cliché it is to sneak away from his own party. He then offers her some Jack Daniels, as the legal drinking age is much lower in Naroguma. After taking a sip, Mint comments that it's an adult taste, which is not for her, as she wishes to remain a bit of a child. Out of nowhere, the two of them are taken to that black space again, where Elena appears and tells Zeke that she has come to ask for his help. Apparently, she needs his skills as a beast physician to heal her father, the Demon Lord. Elsewhere, in the Old Kingdom, people are protesting outside the castle. The Prime Minister panics, witnessing this, and gets informed that the protest is due to the neglect of public facilities since all the funds are going to the maintenance of the castle. Worried, he tries informing the king about it, only to find him lying on the ground, lifeless. Makine also seems to be present there, frustrated after being folded by an ordinary doctor. Before long, his party members arrive, telling Makine that as a hero, he should be acting with dignity. Annoyed, he tells them not to order him around and calls them a bunch of dead weights who are only alive thanks to him. One of the party members mentions that she has pinpointed Zeke's location, and for some reason, he seems to be present at the Demon King's castle. Meanwhile, Elena asks if it's okay for Zeke to come all the way to the demon castle without any guards, to which he agrees, saying that the hero is more dangerous. Their conversation gets interrupted when Elena suddenly experiences a headache and falls to the ground due to the pain. Zeke recognizes that she's been cursed, and simultaneously, an old demon built as a melted wax figure appears, mocking Elena for making obscene sounds in public. That demon, Jameer, then questions the lowly creature next to her, and Zeke lets him know that he's a beast doctor. Jameer also introduces himself as the one taking command in place of the sick Demon King, a statement Elena doesn't appreciate. Nonetheless, she tells Jameer that Zeke will be examining her father since no one in the castle can heal him, and gets told by Jameer that it's probably pointless. After entering the Demon King's room, Zeke comes to realize that not all demons are the same, and even among them, Elena moves towards more liberal views. He finally takes a look at the Demon King and realizes that his curse is even worse than Elena's. She's then informed that the Demon King's body might collapse if the curse is forced out, and Zeke finds out that a demon's body structure is completely different compared to other races he's used to. But with this power that heals the dragon, Zeke is confident and asks Elena if she trusts him. Once she agrees, Zeke finally uses his divine healing magic. Seeing this, Jameer laughs, mentioning that healing magic is poisonous to demons and could worsen his condition. But to everyone's surprise, the Demon King's condition gets better, and he eventually wakes up. Elena runs to him and lets him know about everything that happened. The Demon King shows Zeke his gratitude while Jameer starts panicking, saying that healing magic is supposed to be dangerous for demons. However, Zeke believes that his divine power evolves through encounters, and meeting Elena gave him even greater strength. Judging by his attitude, the Demon King figures that Jameer is the one who's responsible for the curse, and now that he's found out, Jameer reveals his true self. Before long, the entire room starts to dissolve, making the Demon King realize that the room itself was a trap. Outside, Jameer looks at the synthetic beast inside, which the three of them are trapped in until Zeke forces his way out using frost alchemy. However, Jameer still refuses to back down and orders the demon army to slay them all. Realizing that the whole army is in Jameer's hands, Elena starts to panic, but Zeke easily deals with this problem by paralyzing the whole army. Now left with no cards to play, Jameer uses teleportation magic to escape, making Zeke wonder who the supplier of this teleportation crystal truly is. He then gets informed by the demon lord that Jameer is the one who made them and is the mastermind behind all this. Nevertheless, the demon lord is surprised that Zeke was able to wipe out the whole demon army, and so is Zeke, as he didn't think the Demon King was sane enough to discuss things peacefully. Zeke then tells them about the Demon King's curse, which is said to drive beasts feral, making them attack humans, but he believes that the current Demon King wouldn't have done that. The Demon King agrees and shows him the magic crest on his chest. Apparently, it is the curse of the ancestor left by the original Demon King, Belial. As long as it exists, demons are under its influence, and it only embodies Belial's ideals. Elena adds by saying that not all demons are the same, as her father prefers not to have pointless conflicts. Upon hearing this, Zeke asks to let him try to break the curse. Concerned, the Demon King asks if he can really break it, and while Zeke's not sure, he can't leave them in such a situation. Ultimately, the Demon King agrees, saying that he wouldn't mind trading his life if it lightens the burden on future generations. Without wasting any time, he channels his powers through the Demon King's body, and his crest starts to glow. Soon after, the whole demon castle starts to glow, and in the meantime, the voice inside Titania announces Zeke receiving the title of Savior and evolving into a Savior Physician. With that being said, the original curse gets broken, prompting the Demon King to praise Zeke, saying that he's glad such a power belongs to a rightful owner like him. After that, Zeke asks Elena to close her eyes and thinks that he could be in a mood for some tongue wrestling. She puckers her lips. But to Elena's disappointment, Zeke only snaps his finger, which allows him to remove Jameer's curse from her body. Seeing his daughter flustered, the Demon King realizes that many things have changed while he was asleep. Suddenly, they hear someone cursing the Demon King, and after taking a look, they find out that it's none other than the hero himself. Do you think Zeke will be able to handle the hero's party by himself? Comment Doctor if you'd like a part 2 of this series. As usual, thank you for tuning in and we'll catch you in the next one.